What up, Space Fam? Goes in here from Anime Up. We're back at it again to discuss the latest and craziest updates in the One Piece story, and we got some crazy stuff in this one, including the appearance of the Traitor, the continuation of the hype Seraphim fights against the Straw Hats, a very crazy, unexpected turn of events, and much more, so make sure to stay tuned for this one. If you do enjoy these One Piece reviews and want to keep them coming, channel the Pirate King within and smash that like button with no mercy until you see fireworks. If you haven't, make this the video you join the Nakama by subscribing and hitting that notification bell to turn on all notifications, or you will miss future One Piece videos and updates. And now, without further ado, let's jump into this chapter called Should Have Noticed Sooner, spoilers and all. We start at the Egghead factory where Sentomaru is telling everyone they need to get off the island. Sentomaru explains that long ago there was a place called Ohara, and it just vanished from the map because they defied the world government. Like that time, Sentomaru decides that the fact that they're going after Vegapunk, the smartest man in the world, means that they've weighed the consequences and decided it's time to erase him. Stuff we knew, but Oda wants to give us a sense of what's going on around the island as well. Sentomaru then even adds that an incident much worse than the Ohara incident could happen here anytime. I assume he means what happened to Lulusia when it wasn't just the people who were killed, but the entire island was destroyed as if it had never existed in a split second. The thing that has been preventing that, though, so far seems to be the fact that the island in particular is full of very useful technology, not to mention the Seraphims are on there right now, and the government wants their hands on the Seraphims and that technology. But who knows, if things get bad enough, they may also launch an attack and erase this island along with the inhabitants on it. And we don't know if there are even ways that the Seraphims could potentially survive that attack. But anyways, this adds an obvious sense of urgency to the whole situation. Sentomaru is thinking that Luffy should hurry up already, and he's wondering what's taking so long. And I think we all agree with Sentomaru, especially after Luffy used Gear 4, not Gear 5, to fight them in the last chapter. It seems like he's really taking his sweet time like Goku when he just went Super Saiyan sometimes to test out a fighter instead of just going his final form right away. Now we jump to the unlikely teammates Luffy and Lucci taking on S-Bear. Keep in mind, Luffy is not in Gear 5 like I said, but using Gear 4 for whatever reason. The two launch combined attacks and it seems like they are landing solid hits. In the meantime, S-Hawk aka Mini Mihawk is still fighting Kaku and Zoro. Zoro launches an attack and hits him, but it's a one-sword attack. So like Luffy, he doesn't seem to be going all out still. And I'm not sure what they're waiting for before they go all out. Luffy then even transforms back to normal form and is shocked that their attacks seem to have no effect on the Seraphims. He's upset and screams that they're getting up way too fast. He says, "Enough already, what are you guys, Kaido?" So that's definitely high praise comparing these guys to the former strongest creature in the world and the former Yonko with the highest bounty. Of course, we can't take the words too seriously since it took Gear 5 Luffy to barely overcome Kaido, while Luffy hasn't used that yet here. However, the fact that he is in normal form again suggests that hopefully we may see him go serious soon and just go from normal to Gear 5 right away. Zoro then finally notices that they kind of look like King, and Daft Punk for his part is surprised that Kaido had a Lunarian on his crew. Daft Punk explains what we also put together obviously, that the Seraphims were strengthened by King's Lunarian blood. And now in a hilarious part, Zoro finally realizes that hey, if that's the case, keep an eye on the flames on their backs. Our guys' attacks will only work when their flame is out, but when the fire is on, they're almost invincible. He then apologizes for making them waste energy like that, saying he should have noticed sooner. Of course, these guys don't know exactly how similarly these guys look to King, so Lucci just says it's fine, at least they know how to fight them now. Zoro goes on to explain that King's special features were his white hair, dark skin, black wings, and flames on his back, and then everyone freaks out because yeah, that's too obvious bro, he should have noticed it sooner. But still, it's cool that Zoro's knowledge is helping out here, because if they didn't know that, it could have been near impossible to beat them. Daft Punk then starts leaving and Luffy asks where is he going. The satellite responds that he thinks he has an idea where Stella the main body might be. And man, looking back on this after knowing what's going to come at the end of the chapter, it just begs the question, why didn't he just say where he was going? But anyways, more on that later. We then see Little Mihawk and Zoro clash again. As Zoro says, get out of our way, we're in a bit of a rush. Zoro still looks calmer than the Seraphim, but you gotta admit, this is taking longer than we expected for these four characters. We then jump to Nami, and just on a side note, you can bet the other groups are going to be doing worse than Zoro and Luffy, but anyways, back to Nami, who not surprisingly is having trouble with S-Shark, aka Little Ground Swimming Jinbei. She uses Zeus in order to attack S-Shark. She's struggling with the fact that he looks like a kid, but she closes her eyes and Zeus takes over. And props to both of them, S-Shark actually looks pretty damaged, with smoke even coming from his mouth. Nami even apologizes to Jinbei, showing that this is a really bad matchup for her. Not only does she feel like she's attacking a kid, but her friend too. Then S-Shark uses the Devil Fruit power to fall into the ground as if it were water. Despite how damaging the attack looked, S-Shark is back at it right away in no time, appearing right behind Nami. Zeus is shocked that the attack had no effect. Luckily, Sanji comes in the nick of time. I also love it when he says, going by Article 1 of Sanji Land's constitution, scaring Nami is punishable by death. That's a funny and also heartwarming thing for him to say right here. You can tell by his expression that he's really mad, and I can't wait to see what really mad Sanji is gonna do. Again, he lands what looks like a devastating hit on the Seraphim, but it's hard to believe any hit is as bad as it looks, since they just keep standing back up right away like Luffy complained about. I will say though, Sanji looks badass here, and I love to see it. We then jump to Lilith, launching an attack at S-Snake, and it's funny how both Nami's attack and her attack give us a similar fan service angle. You gotta love how Oda doesn't even forget about the fan service during battles to the death. Lilith's attack involves the bubble gun, and at first it looks like it did nothing, as Usopp points out, but then S-Snake suddenly falls over. We then get some very valuable information. Yes, even though they don't have the original fruit, they are still affected by Devil Fruit weaknesses, which is fair. I mean, you get the powers, you get the weaknesses. As Lilith explains, the reason S-Snake fell down is because this bubble is made from the energy of the sea. Very cool in a world filled with powerful Devil Fruit users. Who thought a bubble gun could be such an OP weapon? She then points out that's the risk of having green blood. Bubble is your weakness. Usopp cheers her on, and Frankie moves in to subdue S-Snake while he has the chance, but gets kicked pretty badly by Mini Boa. Frankie is surprised the effect wore off so quickly, and Lilith explains that it's because the attack just grazed her. Oda is definitely trying to emphasize S-Snake's cuteness here, since even her mad face looks like something out of Spy X Family. S-Snake launches one of those powerful energy blasts we've been seeing lately from the Seraphims, and then Frankie appears behind with a giant bubble and brings it down onto S-Snake. Now that the giant bubble is touching S-Snake, she really is subdued. Lilith and Usopp are celebrating, and Frankie even calls Lil Boa a brat. But the cuteness factor is real, and as S-Snake says she's suffering with tears in her eyes, Frankie can't help but feel sorry for her and apologize. In this way, he lets his guard down for a second, and it's enough for the Seraphim to kick him and turn him into stone, something we've seen from Boa before. Then, as if Frankie turning to stone wasn't bad enough, the Seraphim proceeds to wink and turn both Usopp and Lilith to stone as well with her powers. That appears to be the first Seraphim victory, but it does not bode well because now S-Snake can help one of the other Seraphims, and so far all the battles have not been looking good for the Straw Hats. Yes, we haven't seen Luffy and Zoro go all out, but so far the Seraphims as a whole are definitely crushing the Straw Hats. Now I wonder if these three will have a way to come back from stone, or if the Straw Hats will somehow need to get S-Snake on their side to turn them back. Maybe even Boa makes an appearance at some point with this turn of events to change them back. Either way, I'm excited to see how Frankie and Usopp will be saved. That's definitely one of the bigger mysteries right now. We then jump to the former Devil Fruit laboratory underground. Daft Punk has arrived, where all the Cypher Pole people and Stella are being held. Our Daft Punk is excited to see that Stella was actually here. He starts running excitedly, but then our precious Daft Punk is shot down. He looks stunned since it was a headshot. To Stella's shock, the mysterious figure has finally made himself known with this gunshot. And man, that is really sad. I'm going to miss saying Daft Punk during every One Piece review. But back to the chapter, and everyone is in a panic now, and the narrator tells us that the only hope has been shot down. And I'm just thinking, why? Why did Daft Punk not let someone know where he was going so they'd at least know where to look if something like this happened and he didn't come back? But at least it appears that we'll finally see who the traitor is. Significantly though, they aren't killing Stella and they are kidnapping Cypher Pole people. So it clearly shouldn't be anyone with the interests of the government in mind, which just raises the interest level even more. Someone against the world government, but seemingly against the Straw Hats as well. Let me know your thoughts on who this is and what their motivations could possibly be. But another mystery that has been solved thankfully recently is that of Zoro's parents. We actually got Zoro's full family tree revealed by Oda, so click the link on screen right now or in the description to see for yourself Zoro's full and shocking family tree.